Hi, you're watching India Post Live. I'm Shivraj, and today we're discussing whether Delhi has been orphaned. Who takes responsibility for the massive power crisis? You too can join in on the conversation on India Post Live, India's first web TV news conversation, by logging on to indiapostlive.com. You can also tweet with us. Continue the tweets with hashtag India Post Live or at India Post Live. Right, well, Delhi's been reeling under major power crisis. Large parts of East Delhi, South Delhi, and even West Delhi seeing protests, given that there's been no power through the night and sometimes even through the day. So who's taking responsibility? Let's take a look.
Union Minister for Power Piyush Goyal blames the Congress for neglecting the power sector during their tenure. He claims that Delhi has weak transmission infrastructure. However, he's assured Delhiites that he would procure gas from the Bhawana-Rohini line to allow the power grid to generate an additional 400 megawatt of power. The Congress, on its part, hit back at Goyal, saying that the minister was running away from his responsibilities. The Aam Aadmi Party, which had accused the distribution companies of overcharging consumers, said the latest problem was created artificially by the BJP government at the centre so that it can increase electricity prices in the future. Protests were held outside the Delhi BJP chief Harshvardhan's office. Delhi, simmering at 45 degrees Celsius, is currently without a government. Delhiites have no answers. So is the capital of the world's largest democracy orphaned and neglected?
Orphaned or neglected? What's the situation in Delhi? Joining us in studio to discuss the issue is Sanjay Singh, senior editor at First Post, and Anita Katyal, who's also a senior journalist. Now, Sanjay, everyone's sort of passing the blame that, there is somewhat of a vacuum at the top. But what happens to ordinary Delhiites who are looking for some solution to this whole problem?
See, to my understanding, the kind of agitations that are going on, don't forget that Delhi assembly elections are due, and there have been no government in the past 4-5 months in Delhi. Also, the central government was in transit, and the political parties out there were in election mode. So, and as it is, Delhi does not have a very healthy past in terms of power situation, in terms of supply, in terms of transmission, in terms of distribution. Having said that, also there is so much of hue and cry in the media, rightly so, because Delhi is national capital, and rightly so, world biggest democracy should not have this kind of problem. But then this is slightly a bigger problem than for Delhi itself, because if you move on to NCR, the problem is far bigger. NCR was created for this purpose only. If you move slightly away from the mainland, main Delhi city, the problem becomes even bigger. The problem here is political parties, when they go for elections, they make so many promises. I'm not blaming any one political party in particular, but then you don't talk about transmission and distribution line, transmission in particular, because now what we hear that there is adequate power for Delhi, but there are no enough transmission lines cannot take that much of load.
That's what Piyush Goyal said. 10 days we need, because there was a storm, there is an issue of infrastructure, we need to address that. Why then is there this sort of rush in both the media and amongst the political parties to just point fingers?
See, also because this is summer, and I say you can empathize with Piyush Goyal's position, because he has taken over at a time when this is peak summer, and Piyush Goyal does not have a background, so to say, in that ministry, nor his party was there in power. So obviously he'll take some time. He is, I think, doing whatever he can. It will be judged in days to come as to whether he can actually fulfill or not. But the problem, far bigger problem, is that of transmission, the load that transmission lines can take. This is like you make a highway for whatever 40 feet wide, but you actually need 100 feet wide roads to take that much of transport on the road. That problem is there. This is not fancy for political parties to say when they go to elections that will fix that. Instead, you talk about lowering the tariff, you talk about subsidies, you talk about a whole lot of things. This has been happening with all the political parties.
So Anita, like Sanjay pointed out, I think it's politically expedient each season that this happens for either political party or formations to sort of point fingers. But we do have a lieutenant governor in place. What is really stopping the administration from carrying on?
See, like Sanjay pointed out very rightly, the new government has just come in. There has been no government in Delhi for the last 4 months or 5 months. Now LG is just a stopgap arrangement. I mean, he is there on behalf of he's doing the duties, or he's heading the government on behalf of the center, you know. So he has certain limitations, you know. After all, he has to also go to the center.
Sure.
For redressal of this issue.
And there is a political vacuum in terms of coordination amongst the various departments.
No, and like Sanjay said, there was, you know, everybody was in election mode, and the government kind of, after the elections, it takes time for a new government to settle in and to kind of learn the ropes, to get to know the issues, what is there, what is not there. So it does take a while. But the fact of the matter is, having said that, I don't know what has happened this summer. I mean, we've had heat waves in the past also, but the fact is that for the last 10 years, I agree, in NCR around Ghaziabad and Gurgaon and all, people have a pretty tough time, but Delhiites have become very spoilt and pampered over the years. We have not had power cuts now. I mean, not this kind of power cut for a long time, unless you have some local transmission problems. That's a different issue. But we have not had this. So for us, it's really become a huge thing. That after the last 10 years, I think the last 10 years, it's been pretty stable, the power supply situation. So that's why it's becoming even more, you know, one is feeling it much, much more.
But really, at the end of the day, Sanjay, the fact is, like you pointed out when we started the discussion, it isn't new. You know, Delhi's been facing the issue of a lack of infrastructure. Now, the BJP fought the election both in Delhi and nationally on the platform of better governance. Do you think then that now it's time to set the politics aside and really get down to administration, looking at what needs to be course corrected?
Precisely. The challenge is far bigger to the BJP and also to the new dispensation at the center. A, in terms of what they have promised. B, popular expectations from this government is very high, which you can see from the kind of mandate that they have got. So therefore, with this kind of situation, Piyush Goyal and NDA government at the center really has a very tough job at hand.
Okay, so joining us on Skype is Mr. Somnath Bharti, who is sort of leading those protests on behalf of the Aam Aadmi Party in the capital. Mr. Bharti, the argument is that the Aam Aadmi Party itself had 49 days to actually remedy the situation, but is now out on the streets sort of accusing the current dispensation not doing enough. Okay, we seem to have... Can you hear us, Mr. Bharti?
I can, yes. It is breaking, seems.
Mr. Bharti, what we were saying is that, you know, we were discussing how, you know, the protests and the public expectation that someone would sort of wave a magic wand and remedy the situation. A lot of people saying that the Aam Aadmi Party had 49 days in power, but were they addressing the real issues or were just making politically convenient promises?
Thank you for inviting me. You know, the clue of the mystery can be understood by a statement of Mr. P, where he said that we have enough electricity, but similarly we have enough water for Delhi. The problem is that this electricity is not reaching the public. The transmission is the problem. Now, why is this the problem? If you recall, at Delhi, when this had threatened applying electricity to Delhi for some reason, then we clearly stated that, look, the day you had to disconnect Delhiites, handling your license, iron hand, and the day, DISCOMs had rushed to our office to various other missions and whatnot. What I'm saying today, we have electricity, it is not reaching the people.
Okay, fine. That's a valid point.
The clue lies in.
Right.
Let me just conclude. What I'm saying that the clue lies in both the parties, whether it be Congress or BJP, both donations, happy donations from these corporations. They are going to block. They cannot become. They can't become pro-people and harsh to those companies. They will be soft on those companies. They can cannot demand absolute trust from these importance as I said. And hence, this tactic is going to be furthering the wounds of Delhiites. In the garb of the in a power crisis,
Okay.
they are only announcing electricity rates in probably a month's time.
All right, I think the point that
That's the whole
Somnath, yes, thank you so much. I think the point he's trying to make, and this is what the Aam Aadmi's platform has been, and it's about the big corporation, neither a big political party willing to take them on at the expense of public grievances. How valid is that argument?
That is again electioneering, because we are already past parliamentary elections and assembly elections are forthcoming. So they are basically going on that particular plank. That's a political stance and every political party has a right to do that. But how public will accept that? Because currently the problem is that of transmission, and what I know, I'm not an expert on power, that problem is actually part of that government, and from there on, once those come to main whatever said power stations, and from there on discoms take over, that payment problem is a slightly different problem. And I think 49 days was not much of time for Aam Aadmi Party, but then they were there during winter. Summer was to set in 4 or 5 months later, which has now set in. And they left at a time when many people were actually saying, even within Aam Aadmi Party, that if they stay during the summer, they can actually have that, face that particular problem. So they exited.
Mr. Bharti, I think it's a valid point. A lot of people are asking who has a summer action plan, because this is not a new issue in the National Capital Region. We've been battling the same issue for the last decade or two at least.
No, I do understand, but let me tell you my constituency. When I was elected from my constituency, I had asked, I'm giving an example to understand the ocean. I had asked Delhi Jal Board to drawing of the network and the water network. Till date, I have not received the drawing. What I'm saying that this, I'm the MLA from Malvi Nagar, which is almost capital of the capital, you can say. I have 80% people of upper class. And so here is a constituency where I cannot get hold of the drawing of sewer and water. What sort of situation we are in? The government, all the last 67 years, we have not done what is needed for us to be called a country which can come even developing country. The situation is for the last 67 years as well as 15 years. What was Delhi government doing? We were only for 14 days heard on various channels that 6 months prior to this summer they prepare action plan, summer action plan. When we were in the government, it was in mess. I can vouch for it. It is in mess. It has only been people have been solving problems only peripherally. They solve problems peripherally and then they skedaddle. None of the parties, whether Congress or BJP, is in mood to fix these problems forever. That's the whole situation.
Anita, do you want to take that on?
They have not done at all in any work.
All right, because actually administration in Delhi is a very complex issue. And of course, Mr. Somnath Bharti has a valid point. The Congress was here for 15 years. What did they do to change the way response and coordination happen between the different agencies?
I mean, like Sanjay said, again, I'm support what Sanjay said, and I can understand why Somnath Bharti is taking the line that he is, that the Aam Aadmi Party is going into an election. I mean, they expect Delhi to go to, is going to have an election very soon, maybe by October, along with Maharashtra and Haryana. And Aam Aadmi Party's graph has fallen, so they have to kind of make themselves relevant. And this issue has come at the very right time for them to take out, they have to take up people's issues because people have kind of got very disillusioned with them. So for them, this is an issue to kind of latch on. So they will obviously say this, but I don't agree completely that things were, as a consumer and as a resident and as a voter, I thought the power situation had improved immensely over a period of time. I mean, I have seen, there have been about 15 years ago, I mean, terrible, terrible power cuts throughout the night, you know, and then they used to tell you, okay, rotational power cuts during the afternoon, and that was all gone. You had problems of transmission and distribution, which is there, like Sanjay pointed out, that is an issue. There is no doubt about it. But I don't think we've had these massive power cuts for a long, long time. So it is incorrect to say that, oh, we've been having this issue for the last 10 years, 15 years. I think the last 7, 8 years have been pretty comfortable in Delhi. So, but the issue is, and I think what he's trying to say is that because they went into this private partnership with the Ambanis and other private corporate houses, and there was this battle between them, the DISCOMs and the government, over the pricing. And I think the Sheila Dikshit government, because she knew that an election was coming, she had tried to keep it down. They were constantly in a tussle, you know.
And
the two of them.
There is litigation in terms of arrears and in terms of actually
all kinds
meeting
of,
the
it's a
challenge
very
of
complex issue. It's the whole pricing issue is extremely, extremely complex. I mean, at least I don't think I know too much about it, because it is, you know, you have to be. So, but I know it is a fact that there was this constant battle which was going on between the two, and the Sheila Dikshit government, knowing because election was coming, was trying to keep the prices down. But the fact of the matter is, whatever AAP or the government, anybody would say, any other party would say, you know, if you ask the consumer, people don't mind paying a little. They want electricity. They want delivery. You don't mind paying a little more as long as you have electricity. So to say that, oh, prices बढ़ गए, ये हो गया, वो हो गया, and we brought the prices down, but the fact is they brought the rates down because they were in that populist mood at that point, and they had made these huge promises, and they had to keep them, implement them, and to fulfill them. But they did it only for 3 months, and they didn't make any provision for the next financial year, even though they presented the budget on the last day before they resigned. So, I mean, I don't know. So, how things
Shomnath, you had a point to make.
Yeah, see, I just, because you know, the panelists have been saying that it is because of politics they have been saying this. You know, Sheila Dikshit's government has been saying all along that, you know, when we were asking for the DISCOMs to be audited by CAG, and we knew that CAG would bring out many skeletons out of the cupboard, and they would expose these companies to the hilt. Okay. Now, when I have meetings with these DGMs and higher officers of BSES, and I am told in person that your CAG audit which you ordered, and it took us only 5 days to audit the CAG audit. Okay. We see that this government has been saying all along it can't be audited, it can't be audited, it can't be audited. The CAG audit which we ordered is going to be bringing massive results and massive benefits to Delhiites, let me tell you. The problem is that these companies, DISCOMs, have shown too much of expenditure on account of capital investment, on account of buying special equipment. And today, they're telling us that they do not have transmission lines, or they do not have the distribution lines properly, they don't have transformers capable enough to carry the what and all. This is all posed when the CAG audit report will be out. And then we will see that who has been playing politics. It is Aam Aadmi Party who has been asked with the government that you have to have what you had promised at the beginning. You know, the government, when they were privatizing the electricity in Delhi, that electricity rates will go down, and it has been going just up. We are facing the heat of these electricity prices, and at the same time, we are facing now
So what is the solution? Because at a time when there is also a danger of a law and order situation on the ground, while you have a point in terms of the technical side of it, what are the solutions that you would put forth other than just lowering tariffs? Because the argument is that lowering tariffs is not the only feasible solution.
I appreciate and I do understand from where you're coming. What I'm saying that you have to be absolutely tough with these companies, and you have not to have any pecuniary interest with these companies. The most you have any pecuniary interest with it, receiving donations, thousands of crores from this company, not at all have pro-people approach. And that is the whole problem. The problem is that you will be soft, you're bound to be soft if you have donations. If you deal with these companies with iron hand and tell them that the terms and conditions on which the electricity was privatized in Delhi, they need to be honored, they need to be implemented, they need to be executed. Then this company will understand. And this, no party, what to say of BJP or Congress, no party can do X. This party because expectations from government.
Sanjay, what do you make of that? Because I think that there is, obviously we're going into election mode again, but I think the fact that no one wants to take on the private corporations who've been given the mandate to deliver.
See, there are 2-3 things. What Somnath Bharti says, I appreciate that. But then, if he was doing such a good work and he is genuinely convinced, why did he leave the government? And why did Aam Aadmi quit the government? Number one. Number two, Arvind Kejriwal began his campaign with power. This thing, he climbed up on a pole. Sheila Dikshit came to power way back 15 years back. It was, Onion of course was there, but then there was huge power cuts in Delhi and power was a huge issue and pent-up frustration was there. So therefore Congress and Aam Aadmi Party both realized that this can turn into an emotive issue. BJP is also conscious about that, but they of course cannot go on road because they have to offer solutions than going on road. Therefore, you see suddenly power becoming an emotive issue. They know that power can seat and unseat somebody into the power or out of power. The other point is that Delhi is a city-state. The government is not
It's a unique formation.
Unique formation, and Delhi has a kind of in terms of media coverage, in terms of popular psyche, government has far more disproportionate kind of presence in popular mind than their actual power. They have authority on the ground. Delhi does not have any other problem like other states face in terms of Akal, Sukha, Bar, whatnot. There are too many things and other states have to handle too many other things. Why can't? I am not saying Aam Aadmi Party or the BJP or the Congress, why can't these parties, you only have to fix power, you only have to fix water, you only have to fix sanitation. In terms of education, you only handle some of schools. In terms of hospitals, you only handle some of hospitals. Why can't Delhi government, a functional Delhi government can look into these issues and create and solve, make long-term solutions, create long-term solutions and go ahead with that.
So the question, Mr. Bharti, is that you had the opportunity to draw out at least some sort of blueprint or action plan, and that somewhere you squandered it by not staying on.
No, see, not staying on was a very, very principled decision, because if you recall, BJP had been coming to power on the issue of Ram Mandir, if you recall, and they never built the Ram Temple, all right? And here was a party which came on the issue of Lokpal bill. When that is not passed through, felt,
it was a small technical issue.
We could not bring some Lokpal bill. Which keep promising the people that we bring Ram Temple, we'll bring that, and so on and so forth. They fight and print some issues.
Jan Lokpal bill.
We felt that Jan Lokpal bill, when did not pass through, felt that.
But our panelists are saying that it was a technicality.
The bill had already been passed in Parliament.
The bill had already crossed Parliament, but there were just technicalities. So what was the need to actually resign over the issue?
I know. We see both sectors and we analyze that. It's and probably have not. If I'm saying that wrong, you have not read both the bills, because if you read both the bills, you will solve the difference between the two. The bill which we are passing, that go in those remedies which we wanted to bring to curb across Delhi. But either way, we are not having the number 28, and for the first see BJP is coming together on the floor. She was literally repeating the combination of BJP Congress when he said on the floor, dance about that we are fought by 40. All right, but the post fact when we realize that could be a politically wrong decision, but that's all right.
All right, thank you.
The gentleman saying that what problems Delhi had. Sir, in my own opinion, that we cannot have the drawing of other problems. More than 80% of problems in Delhi are because of BJP ruled MCD for last 8 years. What are they doing? They have made a mess of Delhi.
All right.
We all know.
So we're just running out of time there. You made a valid point, and thank you so much. But we're running out of time on the show. Sanjay, the argument is that while it is a complex administration, the civic authorities were still in the control of the BJP, and at some level the local councillors had responsibility to deliver, but they continue to fail to deliver. So how will the BJP at a larger level really address these issues if they're not able to percolate that decision making down?
That's a valid point. But then MCD, in MCD's domain, I think sanitation comes first, and thereafter they also have some schools and hospitals. Power and water is in domain of Delhi government, and by consequence also part goes to the center. And therefore, before these elections, and also some of the points which Somnath Bharti was saying, of course, now why did they leave? And they have also accepted that that was a mistake. All their leaders accept that quitting Delhi government was a mistake. So, in this kind of situation where people are actually harassed, and then you highlight that harassment and declare yourself to be champion of their whatever concerns them. So that is actually the situation whereby this is part of elections. Electioneering has begun even before the dates have been announced for next elections.
All right, so we're going to let you have the last word, Anita. What happens next? Because as Sanjay said, and Mr. Bharti had valid points to make as well, we're still going into election mode. We're still going to see a lot of people jump onto the public anger against different issues that are creeping up now. What happens next?
Well, I think as you said, and as Sanjay also said, and everybody says, and as you can see on the ground, everybody is already in election mode.
What about the solutions? No one's preferring any solutions. They're all
they all say, bring us to power and we'll find the solutions.
Well, where's the blueprint?
Where's the blueprint? I mean, if AAP had a blueprint, they should have unveiled it during those 49 days. Instead of hitting the streets all the time, they should have been in their offices and kind of unveiling a long-term plan instead of just going in for these ad hoc decisions of, reducing power tariffs or water bills or whatever, so on and so forth. But I think you're going to see more and more of these street fights and these battles and these tu memes between the different parties.
Every time people come on street, there is also a traffic jam.
Yes.
So this is the beginning of till the elections come, and don't forget the Congress also has to jump into the fray, because you see AAP is also trying to now get back
appropriate the same activist
role, and
space.
They want to become relevant. Like I said, their graph has fallen, so they want to become relevant, and so that's why they're going to kind of really up the ante. The Congress also has to get into the same mode, because they are such a poor third. They were routed so badly. So their first primary goal is not to become number one. They have to first displace AAP as the number two. So they have to become the alternate to the BJP.
So at the end of the day, it's Delhi that's collateral damage until we have a resolution with no blueprint in place. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. You too can continue having the conversation, joining us on India Post Live by tweeting with us, #IndiaPostLive. Thank you for watching.